So,
things showing up.
right, so
Oh,
now,
it's whatever one you
right.
want.
mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Let's go to,
This one. Okay.
excellent.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Everybody excited?
Yay!
I have the distinct honor of welcoming you all to our workshop with the thrilling topics of salaries, payment, how travel claims work, making purchases, getting reimbursement. It's part of our annual cycle of workshops that we do. We're now at the time of year when we're gearing into the practical things that we want y'all to know, or that we think you need to know moving forward, so that you get paid, so that you're compliant with whatever policies the university sets in place for us. My job is simply to welcome you. My name is Dan Hart. I think I know almost everyone in the room. I'm the assistant director of the study abroad office. Adam Henry, my fellow assistant director and our interim director, is off writing his dissertation today. I think he's going to finish his draft this weekend, so send good vibes to Adam if you think of him. So we have a good amount of content, and there might be several questions. So if you'll humor me, we'll skip the personal introductions if that's all right with y'all, except that I will introduce my colleague Rebekah Nash, who is our business manager for the faculty unit, and she has done a lot of work to put this together and share with you the stuff that she has to tell you.
Okay, so. Your department summer processing, and then travel authorizations, which is probably different than you're used to, and then traveling, purchasing when you're on site, and where to find all the information that is referenced in this PowerPoint. Okay, so the salaries are determined as we're especially getting closer to the March 1. If your program is rebudgeted and your salary is reduced because of rebudgeting, that is affected. If as of April 1 or May 1 for the programs that start after July 1, your salary is set based on the enrollment. So if you had your target enrollment, but withdrawals between the time you hit your target enrollment and April or May 1, that could affect what salary you get, and we will work with you to figure that out. Okay, so we've now merged it into one questionnaire. Last year and previous years there were multiple. There's now one questionnaire in STU called Travel and Salary Information. 10 questions, shouldn't take you that long. But
Can I interject? We have personalized our database, Studio Abroad, which we refer to as STU.
Oh,
so
sorry,
you'll probably hear
yes.
us say STU a lot. If you don't.
Sorry.
You're not already in the We're talking about our Studio Abroad database.
Sorry, the jargon. Just didn't realize it came out. Okay. Yeah. So on our website, there's now one questionnaire, and these 3 questions are very important to making your salary offer letter. The number of pay periods desired. We will try to pay you as closely as we can within your program dates. However, the second question is also very important. If you are being paid, it basically is only in talking about grants. If you are being paid on a grant, which I'm sure you're aware of, you have that effort reporting. And a lot of times it's saying that you are putting so much percentage of your time because you're being paid on this grant. However, we say in our offer letter that you are 100% while we're paying you on our time. So that could actually figure out what pay periods they're going to pay you, and I will pay you on different ones so that it does not mess with your grant. You still get your money. It's all good. Okay. But I won't know to do that if you don't tell me. So important. And are you enrolled in direct deposit? If you're not enrolled in direct deposit and you get your paychecks in your office, every week when you get paid, that will still happen. So when you're abroad, your paycheck will go to your department and you won't have your money. So we need to know that, you need to know that, you need to be aware of that, and it'll be up to you to arrange with someone to get your check from your department and whatever. So we strongly advise you to be in direct deposit if you're not. And please complete this form by April 1, especially this year where all but something like 7 of our programs start before July 1. We are going to start processing basically we're actually going to start processing as much as we can in March, but starting April 1, we're going to process as much as we can to get things going because we have a lot of programs leaving right when the semester ends or summer starts. So we need to get travel processed as soon as possible and be paid properly.
So I just made the questionnaire that we've been talking about right now is in your risk management application studio abroad. So that's where you would assign your disclosure terms at the beginning of the process.
Yeah.
You're coordinating with the company on that.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Yes.
The first item number of the payment.
Yes.
So if I ask the one period, so in that case, all of the salary
Yeah.
will be paid up.
In one payment, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and generally, we don't, I mean, just because most programs don't fall in more than 3 payments, but if you want it in more than 3, I don't think that's an option in the questionnaire, but let me know and I can do that. Basically, yeah, if you just want the whole lump sum, however much you're getting paid in one payment, we can do that. If you want it spread out, so you get a little. Your salary is set, so we will look at the enrollment as of that day. I will pull the results of this questionnaire, but like I said, I'm going to start pulling them April 1, so if you could get them then, that would be preferred. And we will start making up your offer letters. The offer letters will be emailed to you, and please review it. Review your name, because sometimes you have typing errors, and frequent, or it could be in the wrong category. Make sure your employee ID and everything like that is correct. But also, very important for you, the salary, the pay period, the frequency, all of that. So in part, just make sure it's correct for us, because that's what I'm going to put into the system, but also so that you're aware of it. So that when you're abroad, you're not expecting to be paid in one paycheck when what it says is you're going to get paid the next paycheck, because they're going to be upset, and we have to look at it and just make sure that everybody's aware. If you want to get paid in a specific pay period, let me know and I can make that happen, and I can alter the offer letter. All you have to do is print it out, sign it, scan it, and send it back to me. You do not have to come into SAO. If you want to, we will be more than happy to see you. That would be wonderful, but you don't have to, as you have had to in previous years. Okay, so this is just kind of signposting for you. Travel has a lot of pieces to it, and these are all the various pieces we'll be discussing. Okay, travel claim overview. ASU considers travel claims a reimbursement claim. So the advance is, we're telling them that we think you are going to spend this amount of money on your receipt. You have to show that you actually did submit that so that you are being reimbursed. Your advancement is an advance on the reimbursement. Okay, so you need to understand that, because if you get paid, if your advance is more than you end up spending, you have to pay that money back to ASU. So just be aware. And if you don't complete your travel claim in a timely fashion, it will result in wage garnishment. Your department chair, your dean, and I can escalate to the provost, will be notified that you have not complied with ASU policy. And it can also mean that you will not get future travel advances or any travel, not just SAO travel, but any travel at ASU. The travel department will just blackball you and you won't get it.
And this is true of any travel we do for business, right?
Yes,
This is not
yes.
just a study that.
Correct. This is all ASU travel policy, financial services policy. The SAO does have a specific ABOR devised escalation policy based on if you do not get us your receipts in such a period of time, this is what we are supposed to do before we send it to travel and get them involved. And that does involve bringing in your chair, bringing in your dean and your provost, but travel will do that as well. I don't know if you, in general, working in your department, have gotten their reminder emails. If I kind of think of them as nasty dens, that if you're late with your travel, this is happening. They're nice, aren't they? Okay. Okay, so we have two different types of travel claims. Everybody has to file, well, kind of three. Everybody has to file a travel claim, even if you're not claiming anything. We do have a couple of programs where people aren't getting anything at all. They're not, whatever. You still have to file a travel claim because you have to be in travel status just in case anything happens to you. ASU needs you to be in travel status for your own risk management purposes, okay? So we will make you do that even if you're not getting anything. Individual travel claims are for people who are only getting expenses for themselves. You're not paying anything for the group. You're just getting your own per diem, maybe local transportation, airport transfers, that sort of stuff. You will get an individual travel claim. Group travel claims are generally, but this year maybe not, one per program, and it's for a person carrying the funds for the whole group. That's the idea. So they will get expenses for their own personal expenses for the same things, per diem and local transportation, and etc. But they'll also have money for group meals, group transportation, maybe lodgings or whichever. They get a group travel claim, and those have additional steps for them, and they are different forms. Okay, your advance is determined, again, by your approved budget. You'll get 75% of the individual expenses. So again, it doesn't matter if you're a group travel claim or an individual travel claim. If it's per diem, you'll get 75% of that. If it's personal local transportation, you'll get 75% of that. If you are a group traveler and you're getting money for group meals, you'll get 100% of that. The only exception, which I'll get to in a little bit, is on airfare, and I'll explain that in a second. All faculty travelers must come in to SAO to sign your claim. I'm sorry about that, and it's possible that for summer 15, this will all be online, kind of like our domestic travel is. Possible, it's not 100% yet, don't tell anybody, but in which case you won't have to, but at the moment you do because you have to sign it. You come in, you sign it, we will send it to travel, and they will process what they need to for your advance. When you come in and sign, I will give you a breakdown. This is what we have budgeted for you. This is the maximum that we have that you can spend in your travel claim. And this is how much you're getting in your advance. And these are the line items that we think that we haven't spent. However, if in either case, if we give you that, it's more like this is the all right, so our timeline. 8 to 25 days, and we're shooting for the 25 this year. Before your trip, your claim is processed, and you'll get an email saying it's ready for you to come in and sign. You sign it, it goes to travel, and they'll process it. Then 7 to 10 days before your start date, that's when travel, it could be 10 days, but generally they like 7. That's when they'll give you your advance, whatever amount we said is your advance. For group travelers, they tend to do it a little bit sooner than that, just because you might need it sooner, but that's when they do it. And then after your claim or your program, you have 7 days to get your receipts to SAO, and then we will process it. We will put your claim together, make it a nice package for you, and then tell you that it's ready for you to come in and sign. And you come in and sign it. And if you did get more advance than you ended up spending, you'll have to write a check to ASU. If, as we are shooting for, you actually spent more than you got advance, then we'll tell you how much you should be expecting to receive from travel once this is processed. Airfare policy. Yes.
Can we go back?
Yes, we can.
I get this question a lot from faculty. If I'm a faculty member and my program ends in May and early June, but then I'm going to spend the rest of the summer in Europe, I'm not going to.
Your start date, we will process your travel claim before you leave. Travel still might not get you the funds before your program starts, but it'll be processed and you'll have signed it and it will be in to them. If you need the funds beforehand, you can let me know and we can work with travel to try to get you them beforehand. But generally speaking, they give it to you right before your program starts because that's when you're supposed to need it. But yeah, so just let me know, answer that questionnaire, and I will be aware that you're leaving really early in May, even though you have a July program, and we will kind of prioritize you that way in our processing, and we'll have it all ready before you leave.
What if it'll come back for a month?
That is another question in the questionnaire. If you need a FedEx envelope, a UPS envelope, or label, we can give you those, and then you can mail us your receipts, so you have to pay for it, or you can mail them to us any other way, if those aren't options for you. We just need to get them. You don't have to physically hand them to us, we just have to get them within 7 days. If for some reason that is just not at all a possibility, you need to let us know so then we can be aware of that. We do have a very narrow window of time that we have to process your claims before travel gets on you and it becomes an issue. So we have to be aware that we're going to have a narrow window, or that you're not going to get us the receipts, or that for some reason you need to be exempt from the escalation policy and not to send you, because we are also going to be going to also send you reminder emails. So if we know that you're going to not apply to that, we won't send you them, or we will wait until you should be coming back and then we'll send you them. But yeah, so answer that questionnaire. Okay, so airfare policy. This is the same as last year, but it's just more official, and this actually does come down from financial services. All of our policies now have been signed off and officialized by financial services, so they're actually out of our hands in terms of what we can do if we need to. But first of all, do not book any airfare until your program has met enrollment and you know it's going, because we cannot reimburse you before that. If then you have 2 options to buy without actually coming out of your pocket, which both options are our preferred option. You can do it through El Sol, which is the ASU travel agent. Sorry, that word is escaping me. You could do it through their online system. If you do it through that, just let me know so that I know to go in and I will process the payment that way. Or you can come in, work with your international coordinator or myself, and we will use our P card. It's basically the same as if you did it home, except that it would be our credit card getting used instead of yours. You can use Kayak, you can use your own account, favorite airline, whichever you want to use. If you have a frequent flyer number, you can enter it. You get all those points. It's just our credit card being used, not yours. Or, if you prefer, you can put it on your credit card. If you do that, you need to send me the receipt when you make the payment. However, you do need to be aware that only one 1 to 7 days for your program. That's just how it is. So it will be sitting on your credit card that length of time. So you need to be aware of that. And you also need to be aware that FAO will not pay more than the amount budgeted. Any overages need to be covered by the traveler or deducted from your per diem or whichever. If this is a case-by-case thing, so if we come up with a situation where there just is not a flight, doesn't matter how many stops you make or whatever, that could fit the budget, we can look at it and we can try to make it work. However, if the budget is what you built it on, that's why you're international coordinator. When they asked you, they're like, are you sure that's enough money for your airfare? And you said yes. So we will have to kind of reevaluate. And that is a case-by-case basis again, because again, we only have as much money as we collect from the students, and we don't, and that's all we have. Okay? Yes.
As part of enrollment, the budgeted number or the 70% of it?
It's the budgeted number. So, yeah.
So, if you pass the threshold of this program's going to fly, but it's under,
You can talk to your international coordinator because until it's rebudgeted and we know for certain that you've reached that amount and that it can go, it's still. Generally, I will be very nice when I'm processing your travel claim, and if you have saved money in your airfare when you come back with receipts, if it's a little bit more, if you spent more somewhere else, I have the funds to be magnanimous and reimburse you for them. Generally, they're not huge savings, like there's just not, but it does mean that I can give you an extra taxi, or I can, we have a little bit more wiggle room. Or we have wiggle room if we budgeted the exact amount on something but didn't factor in tax, or we have that wiggle room within the budget. So yeah. Okay. Yeah.
what about the flight insurance?
Technically, it is a prohibited expense at ASU. However, if you were traveling somewhere where it is kind of a necessity, that the odds of you receiving all of your luggage, just because you're going to Timbuktu or something like that, is very rare, and you're going, let us know, contact your international coordinator. I have been given some leeway with financial services that if I submit a justification memo to travel, it could be allowable, but again, we don't have that budgeted. So it would be something like if you saved money on your airfare, it could possibly cover travel insurance if it's required. But it has to be kind of required because if you're traveling to Europe or somewhere where generally it's pretty safe to get your luggage, they'll look at it and go, yeah, sorry, no.
Mark is not going to.
But yeah.
No, this is not going to happen, but
Yeah.
what if you get sick and can't go?
Mhm.
And then what happens to the amount you spent on?
I don't know, Dan.
That's a
What
great
happens?
question.
I don't know what happens if you can't go.
I'm not aware.
I'm sorry.
No, that's a good question. I can't imagine, we would stick to it, but, I think I'll have to do some research. I don't think we've had that. We had a situation
Okay, so, a new thing, which I will only go into briefly here because, if you qualify for this program, you will have been notified and you will become was audited by ABOR. And quite a few directives came down, but the basic rule was, and result was that SAO needed to reduce the amount of travel advances. We can't just give you $100,000 for a month and expect you to bring back receipts and that'd be okay. Because then when you don't bring back receipts for 200 and something days after travel, that's a really bad precedent and just it doesn't work for ASU. So we had to reduce that. So we've done that in a lot of ways, but one of the ways is in the P card program. It's an SAO special P card. It's not a regular P card. Last year was a pilot program. We had 9 P cards on 10 programs, and it actually did reduce travel advances by $40,000, which is kind of considerable. These are special P cards in that they're declining balance P cards. So they're not just open credit cards. We load them with however much money we think you're going to spend and that you are allowed to spend. And you go and you use them just as you would a normal credit card. And you just bring back the receipt, again, just as you would for a normal travel claim. But you kind of let me know the P card ones and the not travel ones, and you don't have to actually foot the bill for that. So that's a new program. Travelers are, any traveler, if you want to be in this program, can be in this program. But all travelers who, when we create your budget, if the amount is over $5,000, excluding per diem and group meals, you have to be in this program. And we have to give you a card. So we've gone through our budget this year and we've notified people who qualify, and we've also notified the people who said they wanted one for the training directly after. But if any of you want one and are not on that list, feel free to stay around for the next one. That would be great. Okay. When you're there and you have your advance, this should not be news because it's the same as if you're traveling regularly for ASU. You cannot buy alcohol, you cannot buy gifts, and you cannot make payments to ASU employees. If you have an individual travel claim and you have need of purchasing photocopies, and it could be budgeted, but you need photocopies, supplies for the program, and you are on an individual claim, I'll have to reimburse you through a different method, and it won't go on your travel claim. But if you're on a group claim, it's all good. And receipts outside the program date. If you need to purchase something for the program before the program actually starts, then you should submit it to me for reimbursement through the employee reimbursement process, which I'll discuss in a second, rather than do your travel claim, because it's not on while you're in travel status that you purchased it. Okay, so yes.
So for gifts, wasn't there a category
Yes.
goodwill?
Yes, that's, yeah, okay. Well, no, we call them goodwill items, because that's not a gift, but they're gifts. Gifts are not allowed. Goodwill items sort of are. But they also have to be reimbursed through an employee reimbursement and not on a travel claim. It doesn't matter if you have a group travel claim or an individual travel claim, they get reimbursed through a different method. If you have a group travel claim and you are paying a service provider, or you're paying anybody not, then you have to fill out this form. Generally, if this is budgeted, I will give you a couple of these forms when you come and sign your travel claim. just so you have them. But it's also on your RM app in Studio Abroad. Then if you are giving students money for local transportation, or you're giving students money, some programs tell students to go to museums and then bring me back your receipts and I'll reimburse you. Some just give them money for meals because it doesn't make sense to actually pay for everybody. However you do that, if you give money to a student at any point, you have to have one of these forms. It doesn't necessarily have to look like this, but this form will be if it's not in your Studio Abroad account. It just has to be a student manifest. It has to have the student name, has to say how much you paid the student, has to be dated, and you have to sign it and date it yourself. And this, again, the student has to have the name and they have to sign it. So they have to both of those. Okay.
These are basically receipts for transactions that wouldn't otherwise be receipts.
Also, I don't think I have this mentioned anywhere. If you are, no, I don't. If you're traveling and you don't have receipts, then we have, or when you come in for your travel, we'll show you. They have little receipt books. You can get them at Staples. You can get them at Office Max. You can get anywhere. You can make a receipt, say, on this day, receipt, and that is preferred. Travel prefers that rather than you giving an email saying, all these items, I spent this much money and I don't have a receipt. It might seem kind of silly, but they prefer that to nothing. So just that's an option, and it costs like a couple dollars to get one book like that.
What about payments for providers in advance?
In advance, hopefully we would, SAO would be paying that, and then you don't need to fill out any form. Yeah, this is just if part of the money that we're advancing you in your group advance is to pay a service provider, is to pay someone. And we are trying, if we know that, to be able to pay them in advance, but some people just can't.
So that means that we have global link for service provider, and one of our things in the program is that students will be provided money for their lunch. That will be done
Through Global Week, that we don't have to do that. Correct. Yes. Okay, so yes, if you have a group claim and we've advanced you so much money, or it could, generally it won't happen on an individual claim, but if we've advanced you so much money and for, say you had group meals of $1,000 and somehow it only ended up costing you $700 and you have this extra money, and you would like to add another event or another excursion. Contact your international coordinator, tell them what you'd like, tell them why, how you got this saving, what you'd like to do with it, and why you think it would enhance your program. Doesn't have to be a long email, just let them know that as long as you have the funds, they will most likely allow it. But if you're just saying, hey, we want to go to this amusement park because it would be fun, then they might not allow it. But if it actually has an actual real purpose to the program, then they probably would allow it. And then, and only then, can you actually do it. You cannot send an email saying, hey, I had this savings, so this is what we did, because that won't be allowed, and that's a problem. And we also need it just so that when you come back with the receipts and you have a receipt for something that was not budgeted, I know that it was allowed and I can reimburse you, because otherwise I will say we didn't plan for this and I won't reimburse you for that item. So just it's a paper trail, but it's an easy way to go. Shouldn't take that much time. Okay, so when you come back, like I said, you have 7 days to get us your receipts. We will process them and we will send you an email saying, this is how much your total travel was, this is how much you were advanced, and this is how much either you owe ASU or ASU will pay you when you sign your claim. And then you can come in, you'll sign it, and we'll send it off to travel. We'll upload a copy to your Studio Abroad account in the document section so you can see it if you need to reference it, and travel will process it and you will get your reimbursement. or you'll pay travel and they will not nag you. Either way, it's good and it's all taken care of, okay? It's kind of a brief overview. Yes. For per diem, I don't need receipts. For whatever we have budgeted for you is what you will get. You don't need to give me any receipts. So,
For food, for ourselves.
no receipts. Yeah, exactly. It's
It's
exactly.
basically non-taxable payment.
Yeah. So you just, it's so if you're an individual traveler and what we have budgeted for you is per diem, airport transportation, and maybe some local transfers. All I need receipts for is the airport transfers and the local transportation. I don't need any receipts for per diem. We will process, we will just say, we have budgeted this amount for you, that's what you're getting, and you just get it and it's all good. And we just assume that's what you spent. Hopefully you spent that or less, and then it's great for you and you didn't spend more, but it's up to you.
I like to consider it tax-free income.
Yes, actually, I do want to tell you that if when you're rebudgeting or whatever, because I know some people, they would rather have more salary and less per diem. Per diem is tax-free. Salary is not. So if you ever have that choice with a coordinator, pick the additional per diem rather than the tax or the salary. And it's actually impacts your budget less because salary gets charged out as extra fees, and so it impacts the program more than just the amount too. So just throwing that out for you for future budgeting creations. In keeping track of your expenses. On Studio Abroad, there are a couple of resources, travel reconciliation sheets. There's one for individual travel claims, one for group travel claims, and I will be adding one for group P-card travel claims, so you have that as well. They more or less look the same, but they have it broken out all the different categories that you could potentially spend, and all you have to do is keep track. You spent on the receipts, but sometimes we come back with a receipt that tells us the vendor name, but we have absolutely no idea when we're comparing it to your budget that it was, you took everybody to this tour, because it doesn't say that. It has a name of a random vendor. So explain that, and then when you give the receipt, put the receipt little code. If your codes are different than our codes, that's okay, as long as they match with the receipt that you turn in. That's all we really need. So if you use miscellaneous M, if you use Z, I don't really care, as long as it matches what you turn in. That's all good.
It's like something that they print out and have with them.
This is actually, if you can, I mean, if you can, if you have the capability wherever you are to keep this Excel sheet while you're there, it does help you in your reconciliation process while you're abroad. But if you can't do that, then in the 7 days that you're getting your receipts together after your travel, put them in this order and email this completed to me when you're sending us your receipts so that we have it. But yeah, like I said, the important part is expense category, so we need to know like what it sort of was, the date, the currency and the amount, and then the explanation and the vendor. If you choose, you don't have to. This is a completed one that we have filled in. So if you choose to put the exchange rate, you need to get the exchange rate from Owanda. It's a website. That is the exchange rate site that ASU uses. If you choose another site and your exchange rate is different, ASU won't recognize that. That's the site that ASU will use, okay? If you have receipts, if you go regularly to your ATM and that's how you get your currency for the program, you can save those receipts that say, and then give me your bank statement to compare, and then I can figure out what exchange rate you were charged. If you want to go by that, I can do that. If you go and you actually go to someone and exchange and you get something that says this is the exchange rate for used, if you turn that into me, I can use that. If you just give me receipts, Wanda is the exchange rate that will be used. And it'll be used, the exchange rate that day. Not overall, not the average for your program. That particular day, this is the rate that it was.
But if their bank charged them a different exchange rate.
And you show me proof of that, you give me your bank statement and show me that, then I can give you the exchange rate that your bank charged you. So that, but you have to give me the proof of that. Not if it's not budgeted in your program fee, in your,
So you have to budget that.
yeah, and or.
I know like mine's like $5 or something every time you withdraw.
Right. Yeah. If you can budget it in your program. And also if you come in under budget, because again, like I said, you have this amount that we've budgeted for your travel. If you come in under that and you would like to submit something that shows the bank fees, I could give you, again, up to the max that we have budgeted. I could give you that. But again, I submit a travel justification form to it, so I don't know if generally with your normal ASU travel, it's an allowable expense, but we can give you that. Yeah, it's not. So we can do that. But it has to be budgeted, otherwise you have to have the savings somewhere.
So we have to be withdrawing money for programmatic purposes.
Well, we're assuming that's what you're doing, but yes, yeah. And if you submit something that says you got a fee after the program date, that won't work either. Potentially slightly before the program start date, I could give you with the assumption that you took all this money out, so you have it when the program starts. But again, justification is required for all of this. Okay, so this is your reconciliation worksheets, which, yes.
So what about, we have phone charges budgeted, how do we
Yeah.
give you receipts for those?
If you, hopefully you have some kind of payment, or if you, receipts that you can get for that, or if you bought phone cards, some people have actually turned in the phone card that says 10 pounds on it, and that counts. I just need some kind of receipt. Last year we did run into problems with people renewing their minutes through text. Like, I guess that's a new function that you can do. There's no receipt for that, and there's no documentation anywhere. We need a receipt, we need some kind of documentation. So hopefully, if you can do it and you get something, you know that on your bank statement it'll say top-up charge, or it'll say, the carrier, the service provider, you can give me your bank statement and I can see that. But I need some kind of documentation because a text message doesn't work. So.
And people just use, do we have people who use their own cell phone?
And
And we just give them X amount of dollars per month.
to top it up or something like that, then
X number of minutes.
yeah. And if you need to give me your cell phone receipt or your cell phone bill that shows these times, and especially some people have given me their cell phone bill and it shows that you had to add on an international service plan for this period of time. Again, just give me your bill, we show it, and then submit that. That's your receipt. Any other questions? Okay. So in the preparation, tape your receipts, please, to an 8.5 by 11 paper. Sort them and cross-reference them with however you have them on your reconciliation worksheet. Like I said, you don't have to use our little M for miscellaneous type things. You can use whatever you want, but make sure it matches this so that we know that particular one is that on your reconciliation worksheet. No staples or paper clips. that doesn't work. If you have your giant packet and you butterfly clip that or something, that's okay. But each individual paper can, because it has to be able to be scanned and it has to go through, we have to do that for us, and then travel will also reject it. So, and also if your receipt is not in English, it is not clear at all what it is, you have to tell us what it is. You have to provide some kind of translation, because I have had people, not last year with SAO, but in other departments, submit receipts in Chinese, and then when they were translated, found out it was for like beads, and that's not an expense you can get reimbursed for.
How many receipts would you say that we handle every summer?
Well, last year we handled 100 travel claims, and
Times that.
yeah, group travel claims can have a cajillion receipts, and some individual ones have one or two. So it varies, but thousands is easy enough to say. So that's why we ask you to tape them, so that we don't have to tape each individual one. And again, tell us if you're gonna mail it to us, if you're gonna send it to us, if you're gonna bring it in person, just let us know, and let us know when you email us your reconciliation worksheet, so we'll know to expect it, and we'll have it. And again, we will process it. We will do all the calculations. You don't have to do the exchange rate. If you want to, great. If you don't, that's fine. We will do that. But we will put it all together for you, and we will let you know this is how it is. You can come in and sign, and we'll send it to travel. Okay, so for prohibited expenses, like I mentioned before, if it's allowable and it's budgeted, kind of like goodwill items, or if you're on an individual travel claim and you do have to do kind of some mailing, I will process your reimbursement through an employee reimbursement process, which I'm sure you've had to do within your own department, and you will get it through direct deposit and not through your travel claim, but they will be separate. Well, if you have, last year for the sustainability program, they weren't budgeted, so we had to wait until the end to know if there was any savings within the program with which we could reimburse you. If you do have it budgeted and you purchased it before, it doesn't matter what it is, goodwill items or any items. If you purchased it before the program start date and it is budgeted, give me the receipt and I can reimburse you right then and there. It doesn't have to wait until the end. But if you're purchasing something that wasn't budgeted and it is a valid expense for the program, I have to wait and see if the program has any extra money with which we can give it to you, because again, I can't give it to you if it's not, if we don't have the money. So that was what we had to do. But generally, if you do have expenses that you submit with your travel claim that can't be reimbursed on your travel claim, it will be done afterwards. So, okay, so in Studio Abroad, this is where you find everything. The faculty travel salary information form or questionnaire, which looks like this, only has 10 questions. Not all of them aren't even mandatory. If you don't even have to answer all of them if you don't want to. So it shouldn't take you that long. It's in the it's in the online forms and submissions section. Okay. If you have been really on top of things and you actually answered the other questionnaires when they were 2, we will go through and pull those and then answer yours. But since I don't think many people have done that, answer this one. And I've actually made the others not active anymore. And then in your resources section, there's the individual travel claim reconciliation worksheet and the group travel claim reconciliation worksheet. If you have an individual claim and you choose the group one, the world will not end. You will just have a lot of sections that don't apply to you. So it's just easier if you use the one that applies to you. And so, but if you use them, that is the preferred thing. As long as you use one, I'm happy. And then the handbook, which all of this information is online in much more detail. It's section 3B of the FD handbook, which is also in your resources section in Studio Abroad. If while you're abroad, which I'm sure you may know already, or if you are not yet enrolled in direct deposit and you want to be enrolled in direct deposit, this is how you do it on MyASU, your My Employment tab, do a box, do the payroll tab, and then you can view your paycheck to confirm that your payroll was for being paid. If you have never, which I would assume most people have, but if you have program assistants, especially if they're student workers, who have not done a travel claim before, there's a question in on the questionnaire about that, and I need to know it because if you're not enrolled in direct deposit or this is the first time you've ever done a travel claim, travel won't directly deposit the advance. They will make a check, and if you're abroad, that doesn't help. If you're not in direct deposit, then we need to know that so that we can do your travel claim sooner rather than later. If it's a new person in the system, again, we need to process it sooner so that they have time to pick up the check and they can get those funds for when they go abroad. So we just need to know that. So that's why that question is there, and direct deposit is really important. It's not us being nosy. Okay. Thank you. Do you have any questions? Wow, that was an hour. Okay. Yeah. So any questions or?
Where do you find Studio Abroad?
Studyabroad.asu.edu.
Okay, but I'm at, it will be on just the regular.
I think it probably defaults to that. And you want to apply under summer 2014, you should have an application to RM:ASU Study Abroad.
Okay. What's in there?
Click on that.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff in there.
Right, okay.
Yes. If you have any questions, if you plan, especially if you plan on buying your own airfare, or if there's any tweaks to the budget that you want to make or you need to make, or you're worried about what your advance is actually going to be, anything like that, contact either myself or your international coordinator, and we can go over things with you. If you have any questions, contact any of us. We will answer your question, or we will find the answer to your question and then tell you. But yeah.
So we'll look into the whole, what if I could sit?
What exactly is a goodwill item?
The reason that it's allowable for study abroad programs is that culturally, if you're going some places that you go to, you just kind of have to bring something to your host. If you didn't, it would be rude and it would cause an international incident. So you don't want to do that. So
If I arrange a lot of pre-meetings, in other words, the person's going to speak without getting paid, like a government ministry or NGO or whatever. So what I do is I'll go to Costco and get Arizona Highway little calendars. Sometimes one time visiting a former president of the country, I brought a history of ASU. So books, calendars, this is what I do. And then ASU, a couple ASU t-shirts.
yeah, I think for the most part, it seems like the gifts that are given are either like ASU, Arizona flags or American, not generally American flags, but like they're either Arizona products or ASU products, and it's just kind of like thank you for your hosting us.
It's worth asking. We ask them all the time.
So yeah, so that's the reason that they're allowed on these particular programs. and gifts in general are not. That's why we call them what they do, and that they're allowable when they're called that.
Do we still have the gratuity?
Yes, if you have, that is a good note, actually. Quite a few of the budgets have gratuities listed. Last year, travel kind of said that if you're just giving out money to people, you know, like,
You
they
pick the coach driver
yes,
or the tour guide?
they would like some kind of receipt. And again, that little paper, that's fine. Sometimes that's just not feasible. But if you come back with something that you're saying, I spent, a large money on gratuities, they would like some form of documentation. Because, anytime you spend on international claims over $50 on something, and if you don't have a receipt for it, travel is going to get a little annoying. And they will get even if you justify it with a lot of good justification, they want a receipt, they want something. They want a date, they want a time, or they want a date, they want a reason, and they want a vendor or a person.
So do you consider tips in addition to the food? Because that's typically where you give it to.
No, sometimes people give gratuities to the hotel that they're staying at. The whole program basically bought out the whole place, and at the end of the program, they tip the people who served them or that type of thing. But generally, if it's the group meal, then it just is the total of that just is counted in the
Or,
meal.
your dinner out, your per diem.
Provider, but the faculty director wants to be able to, tip or, and that's not going to come from the service provider, the bus driver or the people who are helping them. The actual payment to the bus driver is being paid by your service provider, but that tip needs to come from the faculty. So that's kind of the reason.
What about dry cleaning?
Dry cleaning and any laundry or any of those type expenses is the I in M&I, which is your per diem. Meals and incidentals is the per diem. That's an I. It's not something that you can submit a receipt for. And you don't need to submit a receipt for. It falls under that. So per diem is supposed to cover your meals and any little incidental expenses. So. So, any other questions?
Nobody's regretting signing up for this, are they? I mean, not this workshop.